Hi everybody, welcome to this latest catch-up revamp video, and I shall get straight on with it. It has taken me ages and ages to get this next card together. In fact, it's a revamp of a revamp, and I will explain why. It is the World card from the Wild Spirit, or the Wild Harvest card from the Wild Spirit Tarot. And I wasn't happy with this because as I'd done the other revamps, I realised that this one, let's start at the beginning, shall we? This is the original here. This is the original Wild Spirit, Wild Harvest World card. And then I did a revamp video, and this is how it looked in the revamp. Like this. That's the proper penciled and painted version. This is the printed out version. You can see the difference in the colours, but you can get more of the image because the other one had a slight accident. And yes, moving on. So this is the revamp that I did, and because I'd done the other revamps, it just didn't fit. It was too much like the original Wild Spirit. It wasn't realistic enough. Although I've decided and understood that the purpose of this revamping the Wild Spirit Tarot isn't to try and make it look realistic. One of the main aims in the Everyday Enchantment deck was to make it look very realistic because it was meant to evoke everyday life, whereas this one, that isn't the key. Although I want it to look more realistic, naturalistic, I don't want it to focus entirely on that. The main thing I want is for it to look beautiful, really beautiful. And as I'd done the transformation card, I realised, and you'd said such lovely things about the transformation card in the comments, I realised that this one just wasn't up to the job, and it could be much more beautiful. I mean, I could just keep going on and on and on doing cards and revamping and revamping and revamping until they were the most beautiful I could possibly make them, and I'd still not be satisfied. But I really did feel like this one was not quite right. It was too much like the original. So here we have, oh, I so wish you could get the whole thing in. Here we have my revamp of the Wild Harvest card, which I am very happy with. Let's come down and show you. Now, one of the things that I wanted this card to do, and another reason why I revamped the revamp, was because I wanted there to be, within this Wild Spirit deck, I wanted there to be some flow between the cards. I've mentioned this before, and I wanted this one to pick up on some of the themes of, just go back to the transformation. This is the one that you were particularly keen on that I did, and so I listened very carefully to what you said and how enthusiastic you were about my transformation. Judgment, sorry, I'm calling it the Wild Spirit name. This is the Judgment card from the Wild Spirit. Yes, so I listened very carefully to what you had to say, and understood that this was the sort of thing that you really felt very you liked it a lot, shall we say. Anyway, so I wanted to continue that within this card, because it is a Wild Harvest, and there was lots of opportunity for me to do that. So I've picked up, if I just sort of do that, so you can see that the theme of the poppies and the cornflowers, and I've continued that here, but making it more so the year has turned onwards and it has become a card of the Wild Harvest. So you can see there, and the card is different because it has the swallows in it now, and I thought that just really brought everything together. I can't really explain it more than that. I just thought that they just needed to be there, and I'm really happy with the way they turned out. I've emphasised the seeds more in this version that are coming out of her hands, so that is quite clear now that she is dropping the seeds onto the land. And I've emphasised more the difference between the elements that are coming out of her. The central figure's hair is very elemental, fire and air and water, And obviously she's very connected to the earth, the spiral coming down through her, and she's standing on the earth in her bare feet. So all the elements are there. I also wanted to change the sickle, so now it's sitting in the basket and it's much more elegantly done, I think, which is important to me. There's got to be a fluidity about this. It's not, as well as the beauty, it's all got to flow. It is about the wild spirit, so I don't want anything to look too wooden or too contrived or anything else. I mean, I'm setting myself, you know, a very high bar to get over here, but I'm doing my best, as I always do, and I'm sure you do too, and you can appreciate why I revamped this revamp. Not that I'm intending to do that with any of the others, but I want to move on, of course, but this one I really felt could have been better, and I hope you'll think that it is. Now, obviously, when I'm showing you my original penciled drawing, the colours are really vibrant, and that will be how it is, hopefully as close to that replication when the card is eventually printed or published. But here I've got to show you this because this is the version that I've had to put together in a digital form, because that's how it will be eventually accepted, and also because I wanted to play around with the scroll and the title, because the card had to take into consideration. That was another reason, I just forgot why I had to do the revamp, because in the one that I'd done, i.e. quickly here, if you look at the top of her head, if I'm cutting this much off for a bleed border, which I'm going to lose, and then you've got the scroll, it's going to come over her face, so I hadn't really taken any of that into consideration. So that was one of the key factors why I had to do this. So now you're going to lose probably about that much at the top of the card for when it gets cropped, when it gets printed, and so the scroll fits in there. I've made it quite transparent. I've obviously made elements come across there so that the scroll is just naturally part of the design. It's not too obtrusive. The only thing that I had problems with was that this was the only font that I could find that was at all fitting within the list that was available to me, and it looks fine, but I'm not sure whether that will be the final thing. So there we go, and I've put the subtitle Wild Harvest at the bottom, and again the sickle comes over it, there's a leaf coming over it, so it's really blending in, and it is, I mean, it could be less obvious. If you think it should be less obvious, let me know. Obviously I'm showing you these so that you give me feedback if you are so kind as to do so, because this is a process that we are sharing, this revamping journey, so I'm hoping that you will tell me what you want to see. Is there anything else that I wanted to say? Yes, there is. Here is a little version, almost as it would be. Try and focus. I am, again, as ever, aware that not only do the printed, this is a printed version obviously, not only do the printed versions lose colour, but then the camera loses colour, so you're getting a very bleached out. You just compare and contrast. This is the original here, and then you're looking at the printed, so you can see it looks very, very, very pale in comparison. But you get this is the only way I can show you in terms of size. So I've made it bigger than the original Wild Spirit Wild Harvest card, but it isn't as big as the one with the borders, the Everyday Enchantment deck. So I'm not sure how big it will be, but this is an approximation, so it's somewhere between those two sizes. I thought that was a sensible thing to do. So that would be how you would get it, only I didn't factor that in, did I? No, there's always something that I managed to miss out. That will be slightly cropped down. Whoops. Because I didn't print this out with a little bit of a crop, so that we're going to lose some of that edging around there, but nothing. We're just going to lose the grass at the bottom, lose a bit of the flowers at the side, and just the top there I've left quite a lot of space. So you're not going to lose anything key, which is good. Finally, I've started to do these with all of this in mind, whereas when I started the revamps I didn't have it fully in mind, so that is why I had to go back. What do you think? If you received that, obviously with the colours much more enhanced, would you be happy working with that as a card? Does it do it for you? Is it working for you? Please let me know, and obviously bear in mind that, you know, There's some colours that are actually how they would look, and this is just a printed version. So just so you can see, just put this back again for a minute, and there is the non-digitalized original artwork. There we go. Right, I'm going to come back to this in a minute, but I was disappointed to find out this week from somebody who I will talk about in a minute, that I can't have an Instagram account, because I was thinking, I keep thinking about this, don't I? I keep mentioning it and not doing anything about it, but now I found out I can't actually do anything about it, because the whole point of that is that you're putting images on there from your phone, and as you know from my original videos, I don't have that kind of phone. Oh, it's over there somewhere. I have an old Nokia. It has no capacity to do anything, and I am very happy with my old Nokia, and I do not want one of those phones that I hesitate to call smart, because I don't think that they are, but that is not something that you don't need my opinion on it again. Anyway, I haven't got one. I can't take photographs on it. I can't upload things onto Instagram, therefore. So I have to wait to share these images with you until I have a website, but more on that in a minute. Now, I am just going to go back to the person, Kat, who I mentioned in my last video, who kindly told me about the Instagram thing issue, and Kat very kindly, whoa, one of my lovely professional swings there, Kat very kindly gifted me one of her pieces of art, which is an extraordinary thing that I could not do, and I think her skill at putting things together is quite extraordinary. It's a kind of steampunk ephemera collage, which is just absolutely fantastic. Even this little, oh, that opens up, there's a little box there. This is just one of the many things that Kat does. She runs an art shop, she is an artist, she is just a fabulous being, all-round fabulous being. I will leave links to her again in the description, but she gave me that and I just wanted to just show you, because it is such, it's so very different to what I do, and it is just, you could look at it forever. It's really great. Anyway, I have made her in return, although I was going to do this anyway, she just kindly gifted me this. I have made her one of my fluffy, tufty, wafty, cushiony chaps here, and it's again, it's a sea themed piece with lots and lots of texture and colour, evocative of sea. This golden, greeny gold kind reminds me of weed and or river reed. It could be the sea or it could be a river, but it's very much of the element of water. The bottom half of the cushion, I'll just come back a bit, the bottom half has got that gold, greeny gold, and the top half and the back of the cushion is more silvery, and there is actually silver thread running through it here as well. And the vintage buttons, which she kindly gifted me some of, and this here is my tag that I add onto things, my Wildcraft tag when I've made something for somebody with the wild spirit symbol on it. So that's going to Kat. I'm just showing you this because I want to, because it's something that I've made and I love sharing it with you. As at the moment I've got nowhere else to share it, I really like you to see it, and I would be very happy if you would like one yourself. I mentioned in my last video that I couldn't find any yarn, so I've decided to get a bit creative and to look for scarves and dismantle scarves, and I found some, and I have made another big ball, a big roughy tufty, watery, earthy type themed ball here, which I am really happy with, because when you knit it up you get these lovely pebbly effects within it. It's going to be great. So if you would like this cushion, there is a little cushion about this size. It's not a full size, it's a sort of midi cushion, a mini midi cushion. If you would like this one, it's going to be ready soon, and I can show you it when it's finished next time. I also just quickly, right, here we go. Here we go. I've just made this as well for a most marvellous person called, I'm hoping I get this right, please forgive me, you can correct me, Brianna. This is her necklace. I am sending it to America. Oh, I did. The point of me showing you these as well is because I want to tell you how much, if you would like to commission one, how much I would charge you as one of my very valued people on this journey who is so kind enough to give me feedback and support. And so I'm not doing this. Is not my shopping channel. I'm doing this because I'm just going to charge purely for the oh, good grief, what do you call them? For the items, for the materials. Yes, I'm going to charge for the materials and not for the time or add on anything else. So this just cost £5 for these are all vintage as usual, all vintage 1950s materials. And so I'm just charging that, and the postage to this is going to America. If she likes it, I hope she does. Hello Brianna, you're lovely. The postage to America would either be, I think it is about £3 something if you didn't want it tracked, or about £8 if you did. So it could just cost you £8 in total if you didn't want it tracked, or it could cost you not much more than £10 if you wanted it tracked. Anyway, so this one obviously is going, but if you fancy commissioning one with a theme or a colour, just let me know. I will be very happy to oblige you. And again, just going back to this cushion, if I was making that would just be £5 for materials, including the cushion itself and all of the materials. And then it would probably, if you were in the UK, it would cost £4 to send by tracked post to you. So that would be £9 altogether for a original fluffy tufty chap. Right, what else shall we talk about? I'll just hold that here while I waft my pieces of paper about. Right, okay. Poof. Right, I was going to talk about this last time, but I ran out of time. So I am trying to reach more people because I would really like to, and now I know that I can't do Instagram and it's going to be ages before I get settled enough to have a website again. I really am reliant on making these videos, and I can't share them because I have nowhere to share them. So I would be very grateful to you if you can share these videos in any way, or if you can maybe show some of my artwork, maybe show some of the Revamped artwork. I can send you files if you've got somewhere to show them. I can do that. But I will only do it if you allow me to give you something in return. This is not a one-way street. It is not all about me. This is a circle of support and loveliness. And so if you would like to have something in return, that is great. If you can do something for me, I must do something for you with a great deal of love. Thank you. So what is the point of these pictures that I have in front of me? And I'm running out of time, so I'm going to be quick once again. Yes, so I think I'm not reaching a lot of people. One, because I'm not doing these videos in the height of professionalism, as you've probably noticed by now. I hope to address that when I move, when I am settled. This could take some considerable time, but more on that in another video very soon. But the primary reason why I think that these videos aren't reaching so many people is because I'm not in them. People like to see who you are. It's more about the personality, and they like to see a person talking. I'm thinking here, for example, I use him as an example a lot because he's so fabulous. Mr. Hermit from the Hermit's Cave. He is such an engaging figure. He sits and talks to you. You can see him. And there's that interaction, and you can't see me. You can just hear me blithering on and waving my camera about and so forth. And there are reasons for that. One is because I am a very private person. I don't want my face to be known. Two, because I have a face which is designed for radio, which is a quote from P.S I, and I think it's great. You probably wouldn't really want to see me, and it's not. I don't think it would do anything to enhance the experience, put it that way. But also because I am really big on this. Finally, we get round to this piece of paper, bagism. Now, this was one of John and Yoko's less known and certainly less celebrated concepts. It is not remembered in the same way as their other ones, but I think it was their greatest one, and I really do stand by this because it is primarily why I don't want to be seen. They had this concept. These pictures are hilarious. They had this concept, excuse me, that if you sit inside a bag, this is somebody interviewing John Yoko in a gigantic bag. And I think it's so funny, in the 1960s, these really serious reporters are all sitting around holding microphones and waiting for the bag to speak. Why did they do this? Not because it was a gimmick or it was just, you know, a piece of whimsy or whatever, but because it was a serious point. If you're seen, if you're, you know, talking like this, they're focusing on how you look. That is it, you know. And poor old Yoko got a horrible load of abuse for how she looked, and it took away from their message. And that is the point of bagism. It's about the message and not the speaker. And I really do. Sorry, this is. Yeah, they're all being very serious because it's John and Yoko, but it's quite hilarious. This is microphone set up with his bag. But beyond that, you know, it takes away any focus. You know, you're not looking on how big the person's nose is or what they're wearing or what colour they are or how old they are or anything else. It's purely about the message, and I think that is really important. And I want this channel not to be about me, but about what I said, what the ideas, the work, the connection that we have that is beyond the physical. That is really important, and so that's why I think bagism is pretty great, even though it was just treated as a joke. There was something very important behind it, and I think it should be remembered as such. And while I was looking into this, this is my synchronicity of the day that I wanted to talk about last time but couldn't. You know, I always have a synchronicity. I found this just amongst the pictures like this from the 60s, the late 60s, might have been the early 70s as well, but I think it's a very late 60s, about 69. I found what came up. Pictures of people actually trying to do this in the street. This is not two homeless people trying to cover themselves from the rain, although it, you know, it could well be, but it isn't. This is two people trying to do a bagism event. Maybe they were drawing attention to homelessness. I couldn't get enough information about it, but they were trying to talk to people without being judged for how they looked. And where was this? Do you remember my Stonehenge video? Maybe you haven't seen it, but in my Stonehenge video I talked about portals. I also talked about portals in my review of Ray Beth's book, The Way into Fairy. And when I was talking about portals, I mentioned that there was one close to where I am now, in the middle of a city centre. And when I found these pictures to go with this, what did I see? Just over here, that's where the portal in this street comes out. What are the chances? Hey, that's brilliant. I love it. I just absolutely love the connectedness, the interconnectedness of all things. I think things that, you know, this reality should be more like this. It's just that it's become somehow locked down and not quite so fluid and creative as it should be. But this is an indication of how connected things are. There is that entrance to that portal. So this is where people come out into the street, and it changes. People have gone through there and they've come out in a different time, completely different time, and there's been lots of cases of that happening. Unfortunately, when I walked up there recently, it did not happen, and I'm still here. There you go. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye now, coming up to my cut-off point. Please join me again soon. I am going to be redoing my welcome video because it is quite, well, I need to revamp my welcome video, I think, because it's not quite good enough, is it really? And then I'm going to move on to doing something else, which I will talk about soon. Okay, oh yes, the thing that I want to do is the revamps I've done so far. I want to do them all like this so you can see them all together and see what you think. Okay, bye for now, loads of love, take care of yourselves, and see you again soon. Please leave a comment. Bye.